So we recently put a Tesla screen in my 2013 Ford Raptor, and this screen is going to be the same screen that you would put into the 2009 to 2014 F150. Same exact center console, same exact dash. But since we just did the install video and a little mini setup there at the end, I figured we might as well just go ahead and do a full setup slash kind of tech tip video for you guys.
I think of you when I'm intoxicated. I don't know why I get frustrated.
Okay, so a lot of the settings that we're about to go through don't really pertain to just the 2009 to 2014 F-150, since there's just so many of these different Tesla screens and they make them for different makes, models. This actually is very similar to some of the other models. The only difference really is going to be, since I have Ford Sync, my console app is going to be Ford Sync. Everything else though is very similar. So I have the same screen over in my 2019 Raptor, and the settings are basically identical. Initially, when you guys first get this screen and you first install it, this is exactly what it's going to look like. And this is the classic style homepage. I went ahead and reverted mine to this just so that way you guys could see. The classic homepage, you have apps up top you can swipe over, and these apps from, I think from here to here, can all be changed. You can make these whatever app you want. I don't really know why those four are already chosen, but this is how it should look. App, app, app. And you can go in and change those. I can show you, but this is the classic style homepage. I'm not a big fan of it myself, so what I end up doing is I just hit our little launcher down here. I come to settings, and we're under general, so we will click on homepage style, switch it over to modern, which we're on. I'm gonna hit the home button. You're gonna have some widgets on this screen. I've already deleted them in the past, and that's why I don't have them anymore, but I'll just drag one on. So you'll have some widgets, and then you'll have the small apps. All you'll do is click and hold, drag it up, remove. You don't want to hit uninstall because that's going to remove it from the unit. Remove is just going to remove it from the screen, but it's still going to be in your app drawer. To me, this is just a cleaner setup. So the next thing I'll do is, I've already got some of my apps downloaded, so I kind of already know what I like to have on my home screen, and I keep it basic. InTouch, which is going to be my factory sync system. We're going to drag that guy down. Spotify is another one that I use consistently. Then we're going to drag YouTube, and then my Waze, which is the GPS app that I like to currently use. And in a little bit, I'll show you guys, once we get connected to Wi-Fi, Play Store, everything like that, I'll show you guys how to change your wallpapers as well. Now that we got the homepage set up, and you can customize that exactly how you want, you'll just have to mess with it, and you'll figure out what you kind of like and what you don't like. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to get the cell phone set up. So we're going to hit this button, which is our app drawer, and you're going to see Car Auto is going to be wireless CarPlay and Android Auto, but you don't want to go here to set it up. You'll click on it, and you're going to think something's happening, but nothing's happening. So we're going to hit the home button, hit that app drawer, go to Bluetooth, and then up here's the little connection icon. And now that this is populated, you're going to want to open your phone and go into your phone's Bluetooth settings. And then you're going to want to click on, so I have other devices, GT6BT0135. The other GT6 is going to be my other truck. So we're going to click on that. And it comes up with a pairing request. Go ahead, hit pair. You can hit allow. Once your phone connects after that, just hit your home button. You're going to want to come back to your app drawer, open up Car Auto. Now this is where it's going to connect to Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, depending on what you have. And then on your phone, it's going to populate, connect to CarPlay. You're just going to want to hit connect. And now our wireless CarPlay set up. So now you're connected. You can just go back to Car Auto, and there's your app. What I've noticed is, depending on if I have InTouch, which is going to be my Ford factory sync system, if I had that open last, generally that's what opens first upon starting the truck. So if I had Spotify open last, generally that's what opens last. Same with wireless CarPlay. So we'll hit this. But if you do have any connection issues, that's because you're still connected to your factory system. So for instance, my Ford factory app is this. My iPhone's connected. I would just go through the settings, disconnect it, and then try to connect through wireless CarPlay. And I will say I have timed wireless CarPlay on my 2019 Raptor and this one, and they're very consistent. I would say it's in the 10 to 14 second range. It's never going to be the same, but I think it connects very fast. So now we've got the wireless CarPlay set up. Sometimes I use Spotify through it. Obviously, I'm going to use my maps, things like that. You can't really text through it. You can just do the text to speech. So if you open up Maps, it's full screen. And just like a regular CarPlay system, if you put in the address on your phone, it's going to populate up here since you're connected via wireless CarPlay. Now, say for instance, you want to use your hotspot with this. What's going to happen is your wireless CarPlay is going to disconnect, because if you're using the hotspot from your cell phone, you can't be using the hotspot and wireless CarPlay at the same time. This device just doesn't work that way. Generally, what I've found when I do connect to my hotspot from my phone, it just automatically kicks me from wireless CarPlay. Not the biggest issue, but just keep that in mind. When you initially installed this, you had the option of installing that external microphone. I opted not to install it because there's a built-in microphone down here in the lower left-hand corner. So when you are on the Android side of things, you're going to utilize this microphone. But when you're on InTouch, which is the Ford Factory Sync app, you should be utilizing your OEM microphone. And it's the same way on my 2019 Raptor. So say I'm on YouTube, Spotify, a phone call comes in, it's going to come up at the top. You can answer, decline, and I can just answer it right here. And if for some reason I don't like the way it sounds, I'll just open up InTouch, and the call should switch over into the sync system, therefore utilizing the OEM microphone. I do the exact same thing with my 2019 truck. I just switch over to Sync 3, and then the call goes through there, and then I'm able to utilize the OEM microphone, and all is good. So now I eliminated a row of keys. I can either use these little buttons down here, or if you hit this guy right here, this is going to bring up your full climate control, and basically everything that is on this screen that if you have it, it works. Like this is going to be heated steering wheel. I don't have a heated steering wheel, so this doesn't work. But in my 2019 truck, I have a heated steering wheel. This option works for my heated steering wheel. And this is going to be to adjust your vents, so you can put it on your feet, up by your face, defrost. And then this is going to be your climate control for the driver's side and for the passenger side, which these buttons right here actually adjust those. This option is going to be for heated seats. This one's going to be for AC seats. And these work completely fine. And even you can hear the blower go from high speed to low speed when adjusting these. Everything works. Most of the time I'm just using these, but you get really used to using the touchscreen function and it's no problem. Let's talk about how I use this system, because this is going to depict if you're going to go with some sort of mobile data package for this, or if you're just going to stick strictly wireless CarPlay and use just the factory system. When I first got this unit, a lot of the times I was using the factory Ford system, which is the console app, and then I was using wireless CarPlay. But now that I have a dedicated mobile hotspot plan to this, I usually just stick with the Ford Factory app, or now I just use completely apps. I don't do anything wireless CarPlay, so you'll see I have Spotify, YouTube. I'm going to use this thing just like a tablet and go off of my mobile hotspot. And you'll kind of find out what works for you. If you don't want to go the mobile hotspot route, I, for the longest time, had been using wireless CarPlay, and I thought it worked perfectly fine. And now there's just some people that they don't even use the factory app. They just straight up use this as a tablet and just go pure data the whole time. So if you do go the dedicated data package route, I find that to work phenomenal with this unit. And you're probably thinking, I don't want to buy a data package for this, because I was kind of the same way up until I found the T-Mobile plan that is cheap. And that's for 30 gigs of data a month for $15 a month. Well, if you set it up on automatic payments, you get it for $10 a month. So for $10 a month, 30 gigs of data, that is a deal. If you can afford that, it is so much worth having a dedicated data plan to this. It just kind of makes it a little simpler. And the two options you have is you can either get a SIM card, or you can get what I have. It's the T-Mobile Sync Up Drive. It plugs into your car's OBD2 port, and it basically just turns your car into a mobile hotspot. So now I'll go to my Wi-Fi settings and I'll connect to my Sync Up Drive. But I have it already set automatically. So if I go to my settings, I'll swipe down. You'll see internet's right here. Wi-Fi is off. We're going to turn that on. And you're going to see I connected to the Wi-Fi in my garage, but Wallpapers is going to be my mobile hotspot. So that's what I'm generally connected to 24/7 with this display. And you don't have to do the hotspot like I have. You can just do a SIM card, and you can still get that plan on the SIM card. You just need the SOC code. And I'll put the SOC code down in the description. I have heard of people having a little trouble getting this plan put on. I called customer service and they were able to do it the first try. Maybe it's going to take 2 or 3 tries, but I just would not stop until you get that plan, because it is a phenomenal plan and works perfect for this display. And when I'm on like YouTube, Netflix, I don't get any lagging. And if you do go the SIM card route, you would have ran it over in your glove box. And if it doesn't automatically find the SIM card, then what you're going to want to do is swipe down from the top. You're just going to do a simple reboot. If that doesn't work, if you're not able to do it that way, down here in the lower right-hand corner, there's a little spot where you just take like a paper clip and you can hit a reset button, but this reboot should work as well. And that's as if initially it doesn't automatically find that SIM card. A simple reboot should get you going. And since we have the data plan going, open up your app drawer. And if you come down to the Play Store, that's where you're obviously going to go to download all the apps for this device. I mean, you can basically get anything. So for instance, I have YouTube works, I have Netflix, and let's just open up, we'll just do this first video here, hit play, and you're going to see it's going to pop up. I think it's because I've already adjusted it, but sometimes when you first pop it up, it's going to have a full screen and you can't see everything, so just pinch in, and that zooms out. I don't think you can go in between, no. So it's either completely stretched or like that. So we'll just hit the home button and we'll open up YouTube just to show you guys it's working. Click on this guy and give you a little volume. And the other very cool thing with this, and I'm sure a lot of you guys already know this if you bought the display, but as long as you have a couple apps open, we're going to open up Waze, for instance. So now I have 2 apps open. So if you hit this down in the lower right corner, that's going to be all of your apps that you have open. So there's 2 ways to put this in split screen. You can either just, when you got an app open, click and hold it. And you're going to see tap another app to use split screen. So Waze is the main one since that's the one I initially did it on. We're just going to hit the second app. We want it to be YouTube. Now we have a split screen of YouTube and Waze. And you can do this with Google Maps. You can do it with just about any apps besides the factory console app. For some reason, the factory console app will not split screen with this. And all you have to do to get out of it, there's 2 ways. You can either just go down, that brings up YouTube full screen, or the maps. So you can swipe down, takes you out of the split screen. And I think you just swipe up, hit the home button. Or instead of clicking and holding this, open up your recent apps and just click and hold on, for instance, this guy. Split top. And then hit that. And then this kind of allows you to choose what you want on the top or bottom. So we have YouTube on the top because we selected that first. So actually now we're going to hit Waze first. Split top, YouTube. And now that put Waze up top and that put YouTube on the bottom. So you can see kind of messing with that changes what's on top, what's on bottom. And now to change the wallpaper, the main way I do it, I find it just a little easier and more convenient, is I'll just take whatever wallpaper photo I have and I'll just email it to myself. And then I'll just open up Google Chrome. And then once you have the email open, you'll see the photo. You can just click and hold the photo and hit the download button, and then it just downloads it to the device. Once it's downloaded, you're going to need to download a gallery app. So you'll go to the Play Store, you'll type in gallery, and there's several different gallery apps. I always go for the one that's Google. So I have the Google one installed right now. So if we just go to gallery, you'll see I have a couple wallpapers. I've got the orange one, I've got the blue one. So we'll switch it to the blue one. We'll just come up to the upper right hand corner, hit those 3 dots, use as, gallery wallpaper. And I have it to where I can adjust it. And once you get it to your liking, you'll just click the check mark and that sets the wallpaper. But I think we're going to go with the orange guy. So now we have our custom wallpaper. You can, however, put this on a USB thumb drive, the photos, and then hook it up to your USB and do it that way. But I just find it's just a lot more convenient for me just to email it to myself. So now we've kind of got our home screen set up. We've got some customization going. Let's go through some of these settings. Settings down here. And there's another way to do it too. If you're on the home screen, swipe down and you can go to system settings right here. And it's going to take you to the exact same thing. So we're just going to start under general and we're going to work our way through, because these systems can be a little daunting at first because there's a lot going on. But I'm telling you, after probably a solid week, 2 weeks of you messing with it and getting accustomed to it, you're going to be like, this thing is easy. At least that's how it is for me. So we're going to go under general. We already changed our homepage style. We're on modern. I don't want to go back to classic. Day and night mode, that's going to be for the darkness. So right now I have mine set to night. You can switch it to day and you're going to see it just brightens everything up. It's good in the sun, but I'm telling you, at nighttime it's super bright. And I just think dark mode looks cleaner, and that's the main reason why. I just feel like it's got a factory vibe to it. The white is just maybe too much in my opinion. But you can set it to auto, day, night, according to time. Once you hit according to time, and then you can adjust it. But we're going to strictly stay night because I absolutely love the nighttime. Time, you can adjust that. I already have mine set correctly. And I have my format set to 12 hours because I think it comes on 24. And for the dimmer setting, that's going to be the screen brightness. So for the day, I have it on 20, the night I have it on 20. And the reason I have it on 20 for night is because during the day, I like to drive with just my daytime running lights on. So when I flip those on, it actually thinks that it's dark out and it dims the screen down. So I just constantly leave mine at 20. You can adjust that to your liking however you want. If you do decide to just do it how I do, where I have 20/20, up here in the very upper right corner, you'll see that circle with the little lines around it. That's to manually adjust your screen brightness. So if you come up here and tap it, I think it's like three different brightnesses. So that's just a way to manually adjust it, and that's usually what I do because, like I said, the way I kind of have mine set up, that's why I have them both just blared. Even at night, it's really not that bright, but I still sometimes dim it down just the manual way. I find that way pretty easy. Antenna power, we're not going to mess with that. Language, it should already be on English or whatever language you want it to be on. Units is going to be US. For radio region, it should be on wherever you're at. If it's still saying like Europe or something like that, just make sure you adjust it. It should automatically do it, but sometimes I don't think it does. RDS, we are not going to mess with that. Those are the main settings under general that you'll mess with. Some of the other things on here you're not going to want to touch. Audio, this is going to be equalizer. You can get to this app from your app drawer. So if you open this, and I believe it's the DSP app, which it already had open. I always just keep mine on normal. I've tried popular, I've tried rock. It's almost too much. And I've kind of messed with some custom ones and adjusted it. But I'll be honest, I think the normal mode sounds perfectly good. And I've been happy with that. And then I actually roll with the normal mode in my other truck as well. So we'll come back to our settings. Mic gain. This was for factory setting, 96. I'm not really going to mess with that. That's going to be for the microphone that's built in down in the lower left-hand corner. Then down here you have sound gain, which this just allows you to adjust the volume output for each individual setting. I just leave mine with the factory stuff. And there's one other setting that I actually changed that I'll show you guys here in a little bit for my audio. So now we'll come over to video. The only option you have is video in motion. Now, if you turn this off, that makes it to where you can't watch a video while driving. It comes on from the factory. So now if you come over to user, first one, default navigation app, you can click on this. I have mine set to Waze. Boot logo, that's going to be so when the device reboots, it has like a custom logo, custom wallpaper. Like I can, for instance, use the two wallpapers that I have. So I can click on that. And now you can see setting boot logo success. So whenever this thing reboots, it's going to show that wallpaper. But keep in mind, these don't actually shut down all the way when you turn off your vehicle. So say you shut it off your vehicle, get out of the car, come back in. It doesn't actually reboot and show you that. The only time you're ever going to see that wallpaper realistically is when you manually do a reboot, because this doesn't fully shut down, which is why I think you have to reboot this maybe once a month. So for me, the boot logo is not like a huge deal. I thought it was going to be a lot cooler because I thought maybe every time I started the truck that it was going to boot up, show that wallpaper, but it doesn't. And going along with the boot logo, you can do a boot animation, which is kind of like a little video thing upon boot up. But since it doesn't do it every time you get in the vehicle, I just kind of don't care for that setting. App customize. App customize, you're going to see that there's a music video and there's app 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to go back to general. And this setting, app customize, only affects when you're under the different homepage style. So when you're under classic, we're going to set that homepage, hit the home button. So you've got these apps up here, and that's what you can customize. These ones are going to stay the same, but when you swipe over, you can change those individual apps through the app customize under user. So when you come down here, app 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This doesn't really pertain to me because I don't really care for the classic style homepage. And the only thing that sucks is sometimes when you switch back to the modern style, it might kind of mess up my homepage and I might have to reset my wallpaper. So you'll see I have to reset my wallpaper, which isn't that big of a deal. And you can come down here, start the application automatically. I don't really have anything set to auto. I just like to start whatever app I'm feeling at that time, whether it be my console app or Spotify, YouTube, things like that. But you can start individual apps. And for the voice control, it's automatically set to Google by default, and in order for it to function correctly, you're going to have to be connected to Wi-Fi. We'll head over to System. This is our last page under Settings. So then the first thing we're going to go to is Setting Guide. The first thing that you got, car model AC. And this is going to be if you have any issues with your climate control. I would recommend not messing with any of this, because when you receive this unit, it should already be set for the correct model that you have. But in the event that you need to, the password is going to be 666888. Hit OK. And you're going to see I'm set to Ford, F150, high, S2 auto touch, and that's basically the setting for automatic climate controls. Like I said, don't mess with that unless you're having issues, and you also are going to want to make sure that you know what you need to switch it to before you go in there and get too crazy with settings. But just for the most part, you shouldn't have to mess with that. Temperature display I have turned off. Factory amp I have turned on, and that's because I have a factory amp in this truck and the other truck, and I make sure that setting's turned on. I just leave mine on the factory setting. I don't ever turn mine off. Dynamic guidelines. This is going to be for the backup camera as well. You don't really need this on because most of the factory cameras already have a dynamic guideline built into them, so you don't really need to turn this on. When you turn it on, it actually adds more guides over the factory guides. So I would recommend not turning it on, but maybe if you have like an aftermarket camera or something like that, you could turn it on. But you could turn it on, see what it does, but it just looks kind of goofy and it'll just kind of confuse you. So I would leave that off. Radar sound I leave off. Pretty much all of these other settings I'm not going to mess with at all. These two were already on, and that just came from the factory like that. So pretty much those are the only settings you're going to need to know under the setting guide. So we're going to hit the back button. Next one's going to be network, and that's going to be for turning on Wi-Fi, things like that. But you don't have to come all the way here to turn Wi-Fi on. You can just swipe down, and you can see internet right up here. Hit the little arrow, turn mine on, and it's going to populate my Wi-Fi networks. I actually usually just leave mine to where it's on 24/7. So if you come to settings, go to network preferences, turn on Wi-Fi automatically, turn on. And that way it just turns it on automatically and it'll connect to my hotspot. So we'll go back to settings. GPS, that's just kind of showing you your satellites. You don't really need to mess with anything in here. Wheel settings. This is if I think you want to adjust some of your factory steering wheel buttons, but they should just be working from the get-go. And even then, a lot of people know that they can kind of be finicky, but I would not mess with too much in here unless you kind of know what you're doing. Software version, pretty self-explanatory. I'm on Android 13. And if you were to do a software update, the software updates, the way it works is it doesn't actually like update like an iPhone where you can like go in and search and then find it, download it. You're actually going to have to end up getting the file from someone. I sometimes get these software updates, so a lot of people on Android 11, I was sending them the Android 13 software. But when you do get that file, what you'll do is you'll come and you get it on the unit, you'll come to upgrade, and you'll do simple upgrade. I need to actually do a little tutorial on physically updating the software, but both of my units don't really need a software update right now. So I can't really do it right now. Android settings, this is just like your phone or a regular tablet. It's just literally the settings of the Android tablet. You don't really need to mess with too much in here, but obviously, if you want to look around and just see what's in there. Come down to factory settings, hit that. Passcode is 7890, hit OK. You don't really want to mess with too much in here. The main thing is, like say your reverse camera's not working, usually the first thing that everyone's going to tell you is make sure your reversing video format is set to VGA. If you have Ford Sync 2 or Ford Sync 3, it needs to be on VGA signal. If you have Ford Sync 1 or you have an aftermarket camera, it's going to be on CVBS. For me, I have Sync 2, so that's why I'm on VGA. So if you ever do like a factory reset, your camera might revert back to CVBS, and that's why it's not working. I do, however, change a couple settings in here. I turn this on as well. This might be the same setting back in the setting guide, but I did turn this one on with it, original with amp, since I have the factory amplifier. And this other one, original car with amplifier host default volume. This was originally set to 30 when I found it. I turned it all the way up. 40 is the highest, I believe. And basically what this did on the Android side of things, it allowed me to get more volume out of everything. And when I had it to 40 and I cranked it as loud as it could, it got to the point where it was crackling, which meant I'm probably maxing this thing out. So I found like 35, 36 to kind of be that sweet spot. And like I said, this just allows me to get more volume out of the Android side of things than the Sync side of things. Everything else, though, I don't mess with nothing in these settings. I would make sure you don't adjust anything. If you do adjust like your camera, then you'll hit save and reboot afterwards. But since I haven't changed nothing, I'm just going to hit the back button. Factory reset, pretty self-explanatory there. If you hit OK, that's going to restore this thing to factory settings. You'll never want to do this unless you're having complete issues and you can't figure it out, or you adjusted some settings and you can't remember, then you're going to want to do a factory reset. Now, if you guys get one of the screens and it's got the colored buttons, you can change the color of these. So what you'll do is you'll open your app drawer, head over to ambient light set, and you can choose between a bunch of different colors. What's kind of cool is, like, say for instance, if I hit this yellow one, I actually have some green dialed into it, so then that way it kind of made it a custom orange and it saves that. So like if I come over to my light blue, I had added some green just to kind of change the hue. And you can do it to where it's just literally color changing, just periodically changes. But keep in mind, if you have the ambient light in your vehicle, like the factory ambient lights, this app is not going to change that. So this is just strictly for if your screen has some of these lit up color buttons. Another app, if you come over to Cam, this is a camera app, but the problem is it's not going to work with every vehicle. And what this does is it would pull up your OEM cameras. Some vehicles it works, some it don't. Both of my Ford trucks, this does not pull up my factory cameras. If you guys have any touchscreen issues with this, what you'll do is you'll take 5 fingers. I think you just plan it for about 5 seconds. Then this pops up. This is a touchscreen calibration program. Please tap the red box. Boom, boom, boom. And calibration success. Click this blue area in 5 seconds to exit this program. I've never actually had to do that because I was having issues. I was just doing it for a tutorial. My Sync 3 was fine, but when I first installed this, my Sync 2 system, it was like the calibration was off. Everything I would touch would be off. And what you'll do to fix that is you'll just put one finger anywhere on the screen. For instance, I'll do the home screen. So you'll just put it on here for 15 seconds, touch and hold until this blacks out. So now it's blacked out. It's going to start back. And now everything on your Sync 2 display should be realigned. Like I said, I didn't have to do this with the Sync 3 system, but when I initially tried using my Sync 2, the calibration of that was off, but the calibration of the rest of the screen was correct. So that's generally the first culprit that you need to fix. And you can, however, add the third-party launchers. I get questions all the time about that Nova launcher because what happened was on Android 11, when you would download an aftermarket launcher, especially Nova, this little shortcut menu down here would actually hide. So it would just kind of make the screen look even a little more cleaner. For some reason with Android 13, it no longer hides it. So I've tried so many options in Nova. I've even heard of people trying to download the paid version of Nova Launcher, and that still doesn't do it. So don't buy the paid version thinking that's going to hide it. There's something in Android 13 that's just not allowing it to work correctly. I find that I don't really care. It's not that big of a deal. But if I do come up with a solution and I get it figured out, I will make sure to let everybody know. That's a comprehensive breakdown of the Tesla style screen. Even if you have a different car manufacturer, but you have the same screen, these are very similar with the settings and all of that, the setup. But this should get you guys in the right direction. I would say your next steps after getting a little comfortable with it, customizing your home screen, adding widgets, maybe trying some of the custom launchers, for one being Nova Launcher, and then you can customize your icons as well, and you can rename them. So there's just unlimited things you can do with this, and you can just make it work for you. If you guys have any questions in the meantime, drop them in the comments. We'll get you squared away, and make sure to drop this video a like, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.